have made their way into Staples Center for Game 5 of the best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal series between the San Antonio Spurs and the Los Angeles Lakers. The season is on the line for the Spurs. The Lakers in front, 3-1. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Jeff Van Gundy, the Czar. Mike Fratello will be joined in a moment by D. Lynham. And Jeff, for San Antonio, it's been a similar scenario. Get the lead in the fourth quarter, lose the lead, lose the game. What do the Spurs have to do to keep this series from concluding here tonight?
Their best players must play with courage and confidence down the stretch in the fourth quarter. In the last 11 possessions of game number 4, they missed all 8 field goal attempts, turned the ball over twice, and shot 1 for 2 from the free throw line. And it's their poor fourth quarter play that has been the difference in this series. They scoring nearly 8 points less per game, shooting only 30% from the floor. And against such a dominant Laker team, you have to put up better numbers than this. Greg Popovich's biggest challenge is to get his team to play with confidence in the fourth quarters. Faced with a similar situation 2 years ago, Portland came back from 3-1 down, won Game 5 here at the Staples Center, went back to the Rose Garden, won by 10, and then totally dominated Game 7 here until they collapsed in the fourth quarter. Marv, the Spurs tonight have to play with much better mental toughness. Last year, humiliated by 29 points in an elimination game. Tonight, they've got to continue to rely on their defense and get better fourth quarter production. And if they do that, they can send it to Game 6.
And Czar, the last 2 games in San Antonio, we have witnessed extraordinary performances by the Lakers' new Mr. Clutch, and his name is Kobe Bryant. In particular, with Shaquille O'Neal playing through a host of injuries, Kobe has had to take the role completely down the stretch.
Well, you mentioned the injury, so why don't we just start out and kind of bring everyone up to date on where Shaq is tonight going into the game. Yes, the 5 areas still are a concern, obviously, that Shaq has been dealing with. The arthritic big toe, been a problem all season. He takes treatment every day on it. Then we talk about the forearm stitches. They're out. The right index finger, he took those stitches out himself yesterday. Both ankles have been turned. He receives treatment each morning and afternoon on the ankles. The good news is that he did go through shoot-around, which is different than last game. Now, if you look at his numbers from previous playoff games versus these numbers, you can see he is not the same player. He has played injured throughout. And because of that, his main man, Kobe Bryant, certainly has elevated his game to another level. During the regular season, Kobe averages 25 points per game. He plays about 38 minutes a night. The only area that he really has struggled in is making shots, but that's because he has taken such a burden upon himself to have to produce big plays at the right moment. And you certainly can't argue with what's happened the last 2 games. Perhaps Shaq was right a year ago when he said the best player in the NBA is Kobe Bryant.
All right, so coming up, it'll be game number 5 of this best of 7. The Spurs looking to take the series back to San Antonio for Game 6 on Thursday night. The Lakers looking to wrap it as they want to head to a Western Conference final series against Sacramento.
I love LA. I love LA.
Back at Staples, let's take a look at tonight's Circuit City starting lineups. One question mark for the Lakers, Derek Fisher, who will give it a shot. He bruised his left knee in a collision with David Robinson in the third quarter on Sunday. Spurs go the same way. Tim Duncan, Bruce Bowen, David Robinson in his 3rd straight start. Steve Smith, who just has not been able to get going, and the rookie, Tony Parker. The officials, Steve Javie, Ron Garretson, and Derek Stafford. Phil Jackson saying that Shaquille O'Neal is feeling much better as he controls the opening tip.
Yeah, I just don't ask me why. I have a feeling he's going to have a huge game tonight. He was in a real big, heavy sweat when they got done with the announcements of the starting lineup. It looks like he's just ready to go tonight.
We'd like to ask you why.
Well, there's my reason.
Throwing it out there. And here is Shaq, played by Robinson, going to the hook and rebounded by Duncan. Now, Jeff, Greg Popovich was saying earlier If we have a drop-off at all in intensity, the Lakers will kill us. He said after the game the other night, after the Spurs blew that 10-point lead, he said we were devastated. How does a coach bring his club back?
He goes directly at him, Marv. He challenges them to give their best. You cannot allow question marks and questions about strategy at the end of the game, any of those things to enter into this game. They've got to be decisive in their offense. They've got to be aggressive in their defense. They've got to bring the game to the Lakers.
There were certain things that were out of their control. A couple of bounces of the ball. Let's face it, the scramble at the end of the game was actually a deflection of Kobe Bryant's dribble. There's Kobe backdooring for the dunk immediately, and the loose ball wound up being the winning basket of the game, a happenstance type of thing. But the other thing he mentioned is that the Lakers are the best team in basketball. We're not that far away from them.
Well, when you're down 3-1, it's not happenstance. You can point that out to the players because you don't want them to be discouraged. Duncan, it counts. And the foul. And Tim Duncan took a shot, so he will go to the line. Foul committed by Robert Horry.
You would expect him to use his left hand as he comes across here, but he doesn't. He reaches in with the right hand. That will initiate the body contact, or he probably anticipating the lefty hook.
Rick Popovich also said we have to play with much more emotion tonight.
I think it's much more than just emotion, though. I think it's decisiveness down the stretch. They've outscored him over the first 3 quarters of the game. It's when the game's counted the most, the Lakers have been at their best and the Spurs have been at their worst.
Rick Fox spinning his way, and he's fouled by Steve Smith.
Mark, just to follow up on Jeff's statement, let's be honest. Teams figure each other out down the stretch. You know who the basketball is supposed to go to. What the Lakers have done is they've said, we're not going to let Tim Duncan beat us. Someone else has to make the decision to take that big shot, make the big play for the Spurs.
Here's Bryant. Kobe able to penetrate. Rebounded by Duncan. Smith fires way off. Bryant putting the move on Bowen, setting it up for Horry. Here's Fox. Yes. So the Lakers have a 4-3 lead.
You gotta like that about Horry. He passed up the three-pointer. The guy ran at him and closed out defensively, so he dribbles it to the middle and gets it off to another teammate to make an open shot.
Duncan being played by Horry here at the start. Parker finding Bowen in that left-handed corner and hits the 3.
And that's exactly what Greg Popovich spoke about to us earlier today. Tony Parker doesn't have to shoot it. When the ball comes out of the double team, drive it and make a play. He made a great play hitting Bowen in the corner for the open jumper.
There are questions following the game Sunday night as to why Tony Parker was not on the floor on the turnover. Robinson is up with it with the 3 seconds remaining in regulation. Duncan off a beautiful lead from Parker. That's when Terry Porter fumbled the basketball. They never even got a shot off.
The play was supposed to go from out of bounds, pass it in the hole to Duncan. He was supposed to get the last shot. Because of happenstance, he was not open. Danny Ferry passing the ball, felt that he couldn't get it to him as Horry shoots a fadeaway. Instead, the ball went into Parker. He slipped on the floor, bailed himself out at the last second by getting it over to Duncan, but no chance for a decent shot.
Ball into Porter. Slip.
I'm sorry, yes.
But now the question is, why not Parker, who could penetrate? But Popovich decided to go with the veteran Porter. He was looking for a jump shot. Here's Duncan. Rebounded by Horry.
The reason, Mark, was if it would have gone in to Duncan the way they intended to, then he felt Porter was a better spot-up shooter and also draws fouls with his as Shaq finishes it off.
Nice play by Fox to get the ball to O'Neal.
And there's the danger. David Robinson leaving O'Neal's body to come and give help. Even if that ball is missed, shot and missed, O'Neal's there for the second shot. I think Robinson has to stay at home.
Bowen again. His second consecutive 3. So Bowen being presented with that shot. Parker has been able to find him. And San Antonio up 11-6.
A little adjustment right there that L.A. made on that high pick and roll. They're forcing Parker to his right, except he's so fast that he's blown right by him. They're not getting a chance to rotate, and therefore the open jump shot in the corner was there for Bowen when Parker gave it up.
And Fox hit by Smith. That's the second on Smith. Danny Ferry checking in. He'll replace Steve Smith. Let's check in with D. Lineham. D?
Mark, speaking of Steve Smith, he can help Greg Popovich talk to his teammates about coming back from a 3-1 deficit. He was a member of that Portland Trailblazer team 2 years ago, and I asked him, do you remember any one thing that happened? He said, yeah, we set a goal, win each quarter and let it be a snowball effect. He said, we also said we got to be able to look at each other and say we gave it our all, because similar to this team, they had given up second half leads in games 3 and 4, and of course we know they did force the game 7. Mark?
All right, thanks, D. In that game 7, they blew that huge double-digit lead. Here's Duncan and the Spurs with a 13-6 advantage, a 10-2 run, and this crowd getting restless here at the start. The Lakers have not played exceptionally well in the first quarter in this series.
San Antonio seems very comfortable with the way they want to attack the LA defense right now.
Here's Fox for 3. Rick Fox taking that pass from Kobe Bryant. Spurs lead at 13-9. Phil Jackson telling us earlier that there is concern about a game like this. You're up 3 games to 1. He was comparing it to a similar situation 3 years ago against Phoenix. He said, here's Bowen again. This time not able to hit the 3-point attempt. Phil saying we're up 3 games to 1 3 years ago. Both teams shot poorly. Talking of the Lakers and Phoenix, said the Lakers played horribly, but they did pull out the win to take the series in 5. Bryant getting the step. They swing it. Fisher for 3. And the good box out by Robinson.
I like how San Antonio's shooting with confidence. They're being very decisive offensively. It looks like they have the belief that is necessary to win these type of games.
Lakers opening up with Ori on Duncan. And Duncan fell down. He was feeling around for Ori. San Antonio looking for a foul, but he was not touched by Ori. And now a timeout is called with 5:58 remaining in the first. Spurs 13, Lakers 9. Welcome back to Los Angeles. Just under 6 remaining in the first. Spurs have a 13-9 lead, and Tim Duncan with 7 points to lead the way. He's hit 3 of his first 4.
Inside with the 3-point play opportunity after the foul, and showing he can step out and face up, and then running the floor hard to get the easy one in transition up high from Tony Parker.
Tim Duncan in L.A. in the playoffs has certainly picked it up. You recall that the Spurs last year were crushed in a 4-game sweep by the Lakers.
And that's really what leadership is. It's not talking in a team meeting. It's coming out on the floor and producing. That's when you know you have good leadership, and they have it in Tim Duncan.
Duncan, though, in this series shooting only 41%, although he has led San Antonio in scoring. Here's Shaq, and rebounded by Duncan. That's rebound number 5 for Duncan. Malik Rose getting set. Checked in for San Antonio. Tony Parker already with 4 assists. Here's Duncan. Robinson. And the Lakers get a break as they'll take possession.
Mark, one of the reasons I think he's only shooting 41% is he does not have the perimeter threat like a Kobe Bryant that the Lakers have. He has no one to take the burden of responsibility off his shoulders, knowing that the Lakers are making it difficult on him.
Fisher and Bryant in the backcourt with O'Neal, Fox, and Ori up front. Here's Fisher. Oh, strong move by Derek Fisher, perhaps telling us the knee is all right.
Yeah, prior to the game, he said it's the inside of the left knee where he was hit during the last game. He said it was sore. It was very, very tender as Tony Parker turns the corner and lays in. But he said he was stretched out well and he felt good going into the game.
Phil Jackson saying that we have not been able to corral Tony Parker, particularly on the screen and roll. Here's Parker off the steal. You can see the speed, but he could not finish. Parker was even with Bryant and then accelerated and beat him to the rim.
And he beat an exceptional athlete. It wasn't like he was beating Danny Ferry down the floor.
Hey.
Well, Danny would know what I meant. Yes, he wouldn't take it personally.
No, you didn't mean it in a bad way.
No, I think he would. Fisher not able to hit. He thought it was a foul. And as Parker looks to take it once again to the rim, he's called for a fouling violation.
As he tried to cross over with the ball, he actually picked it up and brought it across his body. But let's go back and look at Fisher as he comes down the lane to see whether or not he was correct in assuming that he was hit. I think Duncan kind of stood there and Fisher just tried to draw the contact, but I would say it was a good no call.
I think Jeff's going to be hearing from Danny Ferry's mom again.
He'll be very, very upset with that.
Yeah, that was the case last week.
I'm kind of bothered by it myself.
That's a former coach of Danny in Cleveland.
I think he taught him all he knows about athleticism.
Yeah. Yes. Ori coughed it up. And here comes Bowen. Parker to the cutting Rose, and he draws the foul. Malik Rose was hit by Rick Fox. Foul in the act. Both clubs with 2 team fouls, and Malik Rose will shoot 2. Malik Rose, who says that he was kind of a chubby kid in high school, was not exactly a can't-miss NBA prospect. In fact, was better in band. Played the tuba, the trombone. Went to Philadelphia's Overbrook High School. High school made famous by Wilt Chamberlain. He said he was all-state in music as a sophomore. He was all nothing in basketball until his junior season.
This guy has really worked at making himself a much improved NBA player. What a valuable piece he has been for them the entire season.
He's got great energy, but what he's added to his game is the ability to make a shot, put it on the floor, drive and finish. So he's much more than just a hustle player.
Spurs with a 16-11 lead. Samaki Walker has come on for the first time, replacing Robert Horry. Here's Fox. Rick Fox able to work himself free for the shot. He's hit 3 of 4, 7 points for Fox, and the Lakers are within 3. Duncan from way outside. Bryant met by Parker. Here's Bryant. And the rebound handled by Duncan. Parker lost his footing. Here's Parker. Tony Parker has played so well in the postseason. First in the series against Seattle, and here against the Lakers.
See, what happened that time, because the ball was on the left sideline, they wanted to force him down to the baseline, but he likes dribbling and shooting going to his left hand. Shaq misses an easy one on the inside.
Like he lost the grip. He got the ball very deep where he likes it. So we have 2:43 remaining of the first. Spurs up by 5 points. Tony Parker off the dribble, given the room, and able to hit. Jerry Stackhouse understandably down following a 3 of 18 from the field. The Celtics take 4 straight to close out the Pistons in 5. So Boston is headed to the Eastern Conference Final to play the winner of the Nets-Hornets series. Pierce at 18, Walker 16 and 13. Kenny Anderson 17 points as the Celtics won at 90-81. 2.5 remaining in this first quarter, and the Lakers down by 5. Here's Walker, who's played very well against his former teammates. What a series for Samaki Walker. San Antonio up by 3, and now Walker is defending on Duncan. Tim Duncan gets the roll. So Duncan off to the good start. He has 9. Spurs lead by 5. Jack with the drop step. Called for the offensive foul.
When he turns into that right shoulder, sometimes he takes that right elbow and gets it out there a little bit too far. He's actually hitting the defensive player, creating space, anticipating. There's that elbow in the face. Good call by the official.
Now O'Neal will sit down. Shaq 1 for 4 from the field. That was his first foul. Only 1 rebound. Robert Horry makes his return. Works his way into a crowd and then a strip by Laurie.
He's got to pass the ball right there to Danny Ferry. He was wide open. He came off the pick and roll. Should have been kicked to one of their best shooters.
Bryant fouled by Bowen for Bowen. His first.
I think he got himself, Jeff, one dribble too deep that time. He had made the decision to put it down the floor. He got in there, and all of a sudden it was like, all right, where do I go right now? I'm in trouble.
Well, there's a fine line between being aggressive, which he has been, and making poor decisions. And he's got to make the right decisions while maintaining his aggression.
Third turnover committed by Parker. Bryant. So Kobe's been off here at the start. That's the way he opened things up the other night in San Antonio, then came on strong. Fox with a good play, and then bangs it off the foot of Rose. Nice schoolyard maneuver by Rick Fox.
He did a great job circling to the baseline side, anticipating the pass, getting the steal. The Lakers are very, very good and make it difficult to enter the ball into the low post.
Fox again with room for three. And the Spurs are controlling the boards. Lakers just 7 of 19 from the field. Under 1 minute remaining in this first quarter. Danny Ferry backed up and stepped out of bounds. Danny Ferry playing with that severely sprained right wrist and has not shot well.
And it's these type of turnovers that they're having that really make it difficult to build the type of cushion that they need to win going into the fourth quarter.
Third straight turnover by the Spurs. Fox changed his mind. He was looking for the jumper. Duncan had it knocked away. They have 15 on the shot clock. 10-second differential with the game clock. Malik Rose. And he has more and more confidence with that perimeter shot.
Whether it's Rose, Duncan, Robinson, Ferry, if they run that high pick and roll, they can always throw back and get that 18-foot, 20-foot jump shot.
Final seconds of the first. Fox to the crossover. Well, another poor start by the Lakers. Only 15 points in this first quarter after one. The Spurs up by the count of 22-15. Tim Duncan 4 for 6, 9 points, 6 rebounds. Rick Fox, high man for Los Angeles, with 7.
I try to play on that even keel because I know if I get high or too low, something's going to happen. And it's going to either, if I'm too high, it's going to knock me off that kind of bounce. So I just try to stay on that flat line, that even keel where whatever happens, I keep my head in it. I'm always ready to play, and I just don't get on one end or the other.
Well, Tim Duncan always showing the calm disposition in contrast to my partners who've had volatile moments. This is a glimpse of their true personality, what we have to deal with at our production meetings on a regular basis.
You know, one thing, they've never taken a picture of Jeff or I standing with our arms folded, or many times we sat on the bench with our legs crossed.
I can't recall that in your case.
Thank you for that clarification, Mark.
Second quarter is underway. Duncan on the follow, and that's the first offensive rebound of the game.
Well, Tim Duncan, with his size compared to who he's up against right now, should grab a couple offensive rebounds here if they keep him down low.
Lakers scoreless the last 2.5 minutes. Have not scored since Shaquille O'Neal sat down, and Kobe Bryant now 1 for 5 from the field. Here's Rose, and he is fouled by Devin George, who had just checked in. Now here comes Antonio Daniels for the first time, replacing Danny Ferry. Antonio Daniels 0 for 5 in that disastrous fourth quarter on Sunday.
Took a couple of tough shots on the run, off 1 foot, floating down the lane. But, you know, talking to Greg Popovich today, those are shots that during the regular season he made on a fairly regular basis. So he was comfortable with him shooting those shots.
And I like Greg Popovich's substitution rotation tonight in that normally Daniels would come in for Bruce Bowen. He's kept Bruce Bowen on the floor because Bowen has Bryant in check right now instead of taking him out and maybe allowing Bryant to get off.
You have the feeling that providing there are not excessive fouls, you may see a 48-minute game from Tim Duncan tonight?
It's hard to say right there. I don't really know. You got to play your men major minutes, though. I mean, there's no reason to rest him now.
Well, on Sunday night, Duncan went 42 minutes. Parker went 44 minutes. Kobe Bryant went 44 minutes. Went 48 the previous game. Not a good shot. And the ball back to San Antonio. Now, in game one of this series, the Lakers equaled a season low for points in a quarter. They had 13. They had only 15 here in the first quarter tonight.
Right now, they're shooting 31%, Mark, but outside the little couple chippies that Shaq missed inside, this is all jump shooting now by the Lakers.
And the jump shot by Rose to give the Spurs a 28-15 lead. It's been an awful start for the Lakers. 10-0 run put together by the Spurs. O'Neal has to give it up. Here's Shaq putting the move on Duncan and is fouled. So Shaq to the line for the first time. Foul on Duncan. That's his first.
Throughout this series, San Antonio has defended the Lakers as well as they can be defended. They're not losing the game because they're not guarding them well. They're losing the game, as we've talked about before, because they can't score enough, particularly down the stretch of close games.
Shaq was 4 for 6 Sunday night in San Antonio. Well, the NBA playoffs continue Wednesday night on TNT with Game 5 of the Hornets and the Nets, followed by Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Coverage starting Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Earlier tonight, first of our doubleheader, Boston beat Detroit 90-81 to take that series. In 5, they await the winner between the Charlotte Hornets and the New Jersey Nets. Sacramento waiting in the wings for the winner of this series. Kings closing it out last night against Dallas. Duncan lost it. Brian Shaw, who just checked in, coming up with a steal. Here's Fox. He's had the hot hand. O'Neal played by Duncan. Shaw. O'Neal. So Shaq with 6 points. And the Spurs now lead 28-19.
The Lakers have gone to a super small lineup with Devin George being the 4-man to try to get quicker and more athletic, get more energy into the game.
Fox trying to draw the foul. Terry Porter, who came on a moment ago, tried to shake off Bryant. And the foul is on Kobe Bryant.
I think one lineup has somewhat predicated what the other coaches wound up doing, trying to keep smaller people to get that quickness and athleticism, something that Phil Jackson mentioned to us prior to the game. He had a feeling that San Antonio might go to a quicker lineup tonight, try to get more scores in transition, and we've seen them try to push the ball back at him.
I think a good counter right now for San Antonio is go in the post to Malik Rose. See if Devin George wants to battle him down in the low post.
A lot of dribbling by Antonio Daniels. Shot clock down to 4. Duncan. Rebounded by Shaw. Brian Shaw's had his moments in this series, particularly from downtown. Devin George has not been hitting the shot. Phil Jackson saying that he's been happy with his defense, but not hitting, particularly from three-point range.
And that's not the kind of shot that the Lakers want right there. That shot, pass came back out. They should have reversed the ball. Yeah, Kobe back on the top with plenty of time left.
Here's Bowen. Well, Bruce Bowen played very well in this first half. That's 8 points for Bowen. A couple of threes and a finger roll. So the Spurs now lead 30-19. Shaq. They're getting the ball in the right location for Shaquille O'Neal. Now he's beginning to score.
If you saw him take 15 of those shots, that exact same shot, you'd be frightened as an opposing coach. It's just too simple. He drop steps, hooks it.
Daniels misses the layup. George on the block, and Duncan is fouled. Foul committed by Shaw.
The problem with the depth right there of the low post is that Tim Duncan already has one foul. He can't body him out. He can't afford to pick up that second early foul.
Back in Los Angeles, look at Hollywood and Vine. Lakers trailing the San Antonio Spurs 30 with 21, 8:22 remaining in the second quarter as we check out tonight's American Express leaderboard. Los Angeles Lakers have won 86 playoff series, followed by the Boston Celtics winning their 65th earlier tonight by knocking off the Detroit Pistons. Look at Phil Jackson. He has won 37. In fact, he's won his last 21. The last time that Phil Jackson lost a postseason series, he did not have Michael Jordan in the lineup. He was playing baseball at the time. In fact, Shaquille O'Neal was on the other side. That was 1995. Jackson Bulls against Brian Hill's Orlando Magic team.
Shaquille was on the other side of Michael's baseball team? Or?
No.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty clear. He just tries to...
Just trying to clear things up.
Confuse matters.
Just trying to clear things up.
That series was tied at 2 after 4 games, and then the Bulls lost a crucial Game 5 on the road. Orlando going on to the NBA Finals, losing to the Houston Rockets. Bryant lost his footing. Shot clock down to 4. Here's Fox, the 3. And Rick Fox has been the offense in this first half. He has 10 points.
The Spurs defend him great. Bowen takes care of Bryant, makes him stumble and fall, and then you just lose track of a spot-up shooter. He knocks down the three-point shot.
San Antonio by 7. They're going with Duncan, Rose, and Bowen up front. Daniels and Porter in the backcourt. Shot clock down to 2. Here's Duncan. George tried to get him from behind. Was just an instant too late. 33-24. San Antonio. O'Neal working his way on Duncan. And fired it up. Last touched by the Spurs.
See, one of the problems that happens when you try to extend your defense against the Lakers, they advance the ball up the sideline, and when Shaq runs the floor hard, he's in the low post with nobody to help out, either David Robinson or Tim Duncan. So it's kind of like one-on-one, Shaq versus them, because the other players are extended all the way out, trying to put pressure along the floor somewhere.
Robinson coming on for Duncan. So Tim Duncan sits down, 14 points, 11 rebounds. Duncan by himself has out-rebounded the Lakers here in this first half. 11-8. Now Tony Parker checks back in, coming out for Terry Porter. Lakers have 17 on the shot clock. And now Lindsey Hunter will check in for the first time. Kobe Bryant will sit down. Kobe not able to get going in the early part of this game. 1 of 5 from the field. So the Lakers have a backcourt now of Shaw and Hunter with O'Neal, Fox, and George up front. O'Neal lost it. Daniels putting the move on Hunter. Whistle blowing indication that it would have been a goaltend had the ball not
This may be
through.
the most aggressive that I've seen San Antonio's defense. I mean, there's ball pressure. They're up denying passes. They are really into it as far as the defensive mindset goes.
And then they're converting it into points in transition, which is what they need. They need easy baskets.
Offensive foul on Fox.
Bruce Bowen actually goes underneath this. Here he goes, under the screen by Shaq, and then Fox goes right into him. Good position by Bowen that time.
They were 47-13 in the regular season with Bruce Bowen. When he got hurt, they went down. He's one of the few perimeter defenders that can change a game defensively and overcome what's substandard offense.
And on top of that, he's hitting the 3 and has 8 points. And Steve Javi says last touch. Knocked out of bounds by Robinson. It has been a horrendous start by the Lakers. And the fans here at Staples saw this back in games 1 and 2. Nice play. On the exchange, O'Neal gets it to George. And remember, San Antonio won here in Los Angeles. That was last Tuesday night. Game number 2 as they beat the Lakers 88-85 for their only win in this series. Parker had it knocked away. Lindsey Hunter with the long arms making that play. So the Lakers will take possession.
Lindsey Hunter doing a very good job of keeping Tony Parker going to his right hand, so the whole defense knew what they were supposed to try and get done.
We're coaching on the visiting bench. Were there conversations with Jack Nicholson?
He just didn't want me to stand in front of him. I'm a stander, and so he asked me to squat.
You know,
for Jack, I squatted.
I can understand that because I can recall doing Nick telecasts. And it was very annoying, Jeff, frankly, with you standing. I thought you were doing it on purpose.
You should have just talked to me. We could have worked it out.
I know. It would have been no problem.
I would have gladly sat down.
Yeah. Shot clock down to 5 with 5.5 remaining in this first half, and Fox is hacked by Parker. Despite so many missed shots by the Lakers, total of 17, Lakers still do not have an offensive rebound in this first half, which is a telling point. So Fox will shoot 2. Let's go to D. Lynham. D.
Well, we've all been wondering what the secret treatment Shaq received over the last 2 days, and it's called PNF. I asked Gary Vitti. I said, well, what's the secret? He said, well, it has a long scientific name, so Shaq can't say it. But basically, it's a resistant treatment on his ankles that really helps stimulate the nerves. I said it looked like it was a foot massage. Gary Vitti doesn't like to call it that, but it certainly seems to be working because Shaq has 8 points here in this first half. Marv?
All right, thanks to Laker trainer Gary Vitti, not looking to go out on a limb. Shaq playing with the 2 sprained ankles, the arthritic toe, and a stitched finger. He said offensively just does not have his usual explosion, but he said before the game he'll have it tonight because of that secret treatment. Got off to the slow start, but has been showing some signs here in the second quarter. 5 minutes remaining, and the Spurs up by 8. Here's Shaq getting inside and throws the facial at David Robinson.
That's the first time in 2 games now that we've seen him finish off a dunk with a defensive player on top of him. Remember, he got 3 shots blocked at the rim last game. He's been fouled a couple times, but he hasn't been able to finish with the other defensive player on top of him. That time, he threw it down strong and now goes to the free throw line to try and make it a 3-point play.
When you're guarding O'Neal, you can't give him angles to the basket because there's no chance to recover around his big body. So if you can't prevent the pass from getting in, you can't be on his side. You've got to play him behind and hope for help.
Shaq 3 for 3 at the line. He has 11 points in all. And here are the Lakers within 5. They trailed by as many as 13, and this crowd has come to life. Robinson is open. Kobe Bryant back on the floor. Robert Horry puts the move on Tim Duncan. Bryant has not been able to get going. Being guarded now by Daniels. O'Neal over Robinson. And Duncan with another rebound. That's 13 rebounds for Tim Duncan. Nice move by Daniels. Antonio Daniels beating Lindsey Hunter along the baseline.
There's that floater. He likes to take off on the one leg and shoot the floater. He missed a couple of those in that crucial 4th quarter last game. He makes that one.
Horry with the step. 7-point San Antonio lead. 4 minutes remaining in the first half. Spurs try to take this series back to the Alamo Dome for a Game 6 on Thursday. Duncan had it knocked away, but a foul is called. Foul on Horry. 14th foul on the Lakers, both teams with 4. And Duncan fouled in the act. Will shoot 2. He's 2 of 3 at the line.
2 things, Mark. Lindsey Hunter's done a good job in slowing Tony Parker down. And Bruce Bowen, right now, even though Daniels was going well offensively with a couple hoops, is brought right back in just to make sure that Kobe Bryant doesn't get off in a short spurt.
Derek Fisher now back on the floor, replacing Lindsey Hunter. Lindsey acquired from Milwaukee. Comes off what has to be considered a disappointing season with the Bucks last year. Struggled in the playoffs. Was a starter for some time during the regular season with the Lakers. Now Derek Fisher is back in the starting lineup. Another Laker turnover. Here's the double on Duncan. Horry talking to Duncan. And Tim Duncan answering with the nice jump hook.
Marv, you mentioned Lindsey Hunter and the disappointment maybe with his performance this year. 2 of the 3 new acquisitions actually did not accomplish what they thought they were going to get out of him. Mitch Richmond being the other one. Samaki Walker has had a very good season.
Oh, beautiful move by Bryant. So Kobe to the reverse, only his 2nd field goal, and draws the foul.
Kobe sees the opening. Now he has to anticipate the shot blocker coming over right there. And from behind at the end, we see David Robinson is called for the foul.
That's his 2nd foul, and Robinson very upset. He's been hit with a technical. You rarely see David Robinson that upset.
That started at the other end of the floor on the free throw attempts. David Robinson was talking to the same official about the previous basket by Shaq in the lane area. Was concerned why wasn't it an offensive foul. There's the carryover.
Greg Popovich takes a timeout. Greg Popovich, though, has to love the emotion that he's seeing from his team in this first half. Back in Los Angeles, Marv Albert with the Czar, Mike Fratello, Jeff Van Gundy, D. Lydon, 8-point San Antonio lead, 3:07 remaining in the first half. Coming up next, the AT&T halftime report with Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and special guest Kiki Vandeweghe, the general manager of the Denver Nuggets, and I'm told still has that quick first step along the baseline. That's the scouting report from Denver. They will check out the first of our doubleheader between the Celtics and the Pistons. Boston wrapping it up by knocking off Detroit to take that series in 5.
Kobe's an 82% free throw shooter during the regular season. He's shooting 50% in the series. Less than 50% now in this series from the foul line.
Duncan was pushed by Walker. So the foul on Samaki Walker. Both teams are now over the foul limit, and Duncan back to the line where he has hit 4 of 5. It has been a stellar first half for Tim Duncan. 18 points, 15 rebounds.
Now this is what seems to be the pattern between these two teams. San Antonio gets off to these kind of starts. We've seen all this high energy. Now, can they sustain the energy in the third quarter and on into the fourth quarter? Because when it comes to the fourth quarter, then we see the Lakers play at a different level. Defensively, they get after it. They shut him out. Then they go on to score at the other end. They get back in the game and take the lead.
They just have more offensive weapons in San Antonio. So San Antonio, it's imperative that they play with a cushion and then be decisive in the fourth quarter. Go for the win instead of watching the clock run out and hoping it runs out for you.
Kobe Bryant way off of that shot. He's 2 for 7 from the field. The Lakers were down by 10 with 4:55 remaining in the fourth. The other night, the Spurs missed 15 of 18 from the field in that fourth quarter. And a foul is called. It's second on O'Neal.
Throw the ball in the post, get it back out, step back in front, and receive the ball back inside again. And that's exactly what the great post players do. There's the throw back out. There's the step back in now for the jump hook where he's fouled.
That was just great poise on Tony Parker's part. He gets it. He could have shot the ball or tried to make a play, but he knows he's got to reward his big man for throwing it out by throwing it right back in. That's a very, very good basketball play.
Spurs back to the big lead. up by 12. They've led by as many as 13 as we come up on 2 minutes remaining in this first half. Bryant, played by Bowen. 7 points for Bryant.
And Kobe got himself in a spot where he got a good high percentage shot. It wasn't too long. It wasn't with his back to the basket fading away. Got him off the schneid.
Danny Ferry not able to hit from downtown. And last touch by Walker. Ron Garrettson with the call. Great play by Duncan to keep it alive and then deflect it off Walker.
Initially, you see Duncan taller going over the top. He tries to keep it alive, and then because Samaki's foot is out of bounds right there, the ball goes off Samaki Walker.
Good ball movement. Here's Ferry. Danny Ferry continues to struggle. He is now 2 of 16 from the field in this series. Fox. O'Neal. He thought he was fouled. Now back come the Spurs with O'Neal in the backcourt. It's a 5-on-4. Duncan called for the charge. That's the second on Duncan.
So where you think you have an advantage because of numbers with Shaq still laying down in the backcourt, instead you wind up getting a foul on Tim Duncan as he winds up putting the ball on the floor. Rick Fox willing to step up, put his body in front, and take the charge.
It's the same thing as he made the mistake late in the game of Game 4, giving it to him too early, which led him into a difficult situation and an offensive foul.
You have to know where and when to give the big guys the basketball because they are not the same as giving it back to a 6'1" point guard.
Offensive foul on Fox, so Rick Fox now has 3, and Devin George quickly checks in. Rick Fox, a major contributor at the offensive end. 4 for 7, 11 points, 6 assists for Fox.
He's played well, and I think from San Antonio's standpoint, they have an interesting decision at halftime. Steve Smith only played 4 minutes. Do you go back to him to start the second half, or do you go with Ferry, who even though he hasn't shot well, has played a very good floor game, or even Antonio Daniels?
Bryant reaching in, able to knock it aside. George challenged Bowen. And Bryant able to keep it alive. O'Neal. And the foul is called. O'Neal was double teamed. And Robinson picks up his 3rd.
To me, with all the contact that's allowed so far in this game, that is a cheap foul. That is one that could have been let go so that one of the best players, a Hall of Fame player, isn't sitting on the bench with 3 fouls at the end of the first half.
Crowd chanting MVP as Shaquille O'Neal gets set to shoot his first of 2. And he is 4 for 4 at the line.
Shooting so much better in the playoffs, maybe due to heightened concentration, and he knows the importance of this game for him to get more rest. If they finish it tonight, he can get more rest and hopefully get healthier.
In particular with Sacramento having the week off after clinching last night. Mark Madsen has checked in for the first time, replacing Samaki Walker. Spurs now lead 45-37.
Not that the halftime score matters, but so far, San Antonio has led 3 of the first 4 games.
Lakers get it back. Miscommunication by the Spurs.
3 of 4 at halftime. This one will make it 4 out of 5 games that San Antonio has led at the half. Now, as you said, Jeff, can they continue this over the 3rd and 4th quarters?
Phil Jackson sending Rick Fox back on the floor, though he has the 3 fouls. Mark Madsen sits down. Now Mark Bryant will check in for the first time. Earlier this series, Bryant in the starting lineup with David Robinson sidelined by the back injury.
Good decision. Try to get Tim Duncan out with only 2 fouls. Lakers in this situation usually go to Bryant in the middle of the floor, 1-4. Into the first quarter, San Antonio went to a 3-2 zone.
Phil Jackson just said to Shaq, watch the flop by the defensive man, Mark Bryant, guarding him. Watch the flop, he said.
Only 1 second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Here's George for three. Continues to have his problems with the outside shot. And the foul is called. Foul on Rose, his second.
Similar to the end of game number 4. There's Kobe sneaking in from the outside. Bruce Bowen forgets to get his body in front of him. Kobe comes up with the offensive rebound.
Bryant to the line. 8 rebounds for Kobe.
He's perfected the big man forearm in the back of Malik Rose. Gave him a little shove. Went up over him. These are crucial momentum type plays going into halftime.
Down to 4 seconds remaining in the half. Now Tim Duncan is back, as is Steve Smith. Smith played the first 4 minutes, picked up 2 fouls, and sat down. Steve Smith shooting only 38% in the playoffs and 32% from the field in this series. And now a timeout is taken with 4 4/10 seconds remaining in this first half.
You're going to draw up a play. You brought Tim Duncan back in the game with just over 4 seconds remaining, but you want to make sure that Tim Duncan doesn't do anything silly in jumping or going after a long pass that could cause another foul here with 4 seconds to go.
It would be great for San Antonio just to reverse and stem this momentum the Lakers have going into halftime by getting a quality shot and hopefully getting one to go down. But you're right, it's always a risk because usually it involves a long pass. There'll be some amount of contact. You just hope he does the right thing and plays a smart possession.
6 unanswered points for the Lakers the last 2 minutes and 10 seconds. They're now down by 6. They've trailed by as many as 13. 4 4/10 seconds remaining in the half. Danny Ferry will put it in play in the backcourt. Double coverage on Duncan with Walker and Shaw back.
They're playing front and behind, so if the ball goes up in the air, he has to hope to tip it to one of his teammates. He'll change direction and try and backdoor or back cut here. They'll go to a spot-up area. The 2 wings, Daniels, Steve Smith, and even Parker will all spot up if Ferry throws it up high in the air. Then it's a jump ball tip situation.
It's always a difficult decision. Do you want to put a man on the inbounder and make the pass more difficult, or do you want to put 2 on such a great player like Tim Duncan?
Well, if you had Yao Ming, you could put the 7'5" player on the basketball.
Conversation between the officials. They may be pointing out an illegal substitution. Steve Javy telling Rick Fox, told him to get back on the court. Brian Shaw went back to the bench, or perhaps there's some blood on the arm of Fox. Now Javy says, no, you're all right. Little fake by Rick Fox to try
fake
to get
blood
back.
Rule.
Yes.
Fake blood rule.
Right.
Yes. They had a 20. They could have used it and to get him in if they really wanted to.
All right, here it is, final seconds. Daniels gets it off in time, and Bryant got a piece of it. At the half, Spurs with a 45-39 lead on the Lakers. Not a good first half for the Lakers, but they have to feel good despite the fact they did not play well. They're down by only 6. Lakers just 17 of 38 from the field, 37%. San Antonio 16 of 32, 50%. Strong first half for Bruce Bowen.
Do you want me to pass it? Do you want me to slam it? Get out the way, get out the way. Do you want me to shoot it? Do you want me to pass it? Do you want me to slam?
And we welcome you back to Staples Center in Los Angeles. Marv Albert, Lazar, Mike Fratello, Jeff Van Gundy, D. Lightham. A look at the Home Depot game summary, you see San Antonio at 49%, 16 of 33. Lakers just 14 of 38, 37%. So here the Lakers being outshot, out-rebounded, outshot of the free throw line, yet they trail by only 6 points.
It's another one of those games where you look at and you say, well, based on the way San Antonio played, they must be up 12, 14 points here at halftime. But somehow the Lakers just have a knack of hanging around close enough to make that run at the end.
10 turnovers by San Antonio is just far too many. They have to value the ball more, and they've got to value every possession more. That's why they can't expand and only have a 6-point lead.
4 of those turnovers committed by Parker, 3 by Duncan, who has already had a 10-turnover game in the series. Tim Duncan leading the way with 7 of 11 from the field, 22 points and 16 rebounds. Bruce Bowen with 8, Malik Rose with 7. Shaquille O'Neal came on in the second quarter, overall 4 for 10 and 5 for 5 from the line. A fast start for Rick Fox. Kobe Bryant kind of laying back once again, 3 for 9 from the field, just 9 points as he waiting for the fourth quarter stretch run. In the fourth quarter Sunday night in game 4, he was able to outscore the Spurs by himself with 11 points. San Antonio with only 10 in that fourth quarter. Nice move by Parker. So the Spurs now lead 47-39.
So right from the beginning there, LA went after Duncan a little bit harder on the double team. Immediately tried to get Fisher down in there to trap back.
Bryant, that shot has been off, and back comes Parker. Parker and Smith open up in the backcourt. Here's Bowen from that left-hand corner, not able to hit from downtown. Lakers have O'Neal, Fox, and Horry on the front line, and Fisher and Bryant in the backcourt. And this crowd trying to get something going. O'Neal has the ball knocked away, last touched by Shaq.
David Robinson took a gamble that time. He went around the baseline side to try and get a deflection on that pass and opened up the entire middle of the lane for the lead lob pass. Unfortunately, Shaq couldn't control it.
And for Shaq, his 4th turnover. Robinson rejected. Crowd looking for an offensive foul on David Robinson.
3 straight possessions, Tony Parker's created good shots for the Spurs. He shot one, got one to Bruce Bowen, and on the pick and roll, hit Robinson going to the basket.
O'Neal pops it back out. Here's Bryant giving it to Horry. Horry backing to 3-point territory, and both clubs struggling here at the start. Right here, let's check in with D. Lineup. D.
Marv, Greg Popovich hit exactly on what Jeff said earlier, that the key to this victory for them will be their turnovers here in the second half. He thinks their defense continues to be great as it has been all series. And in terms of Steve Smith, who only played 4 minutes, he said, I'm going to go with who is most effective in the second half. Phil Jackson, there's a laundry list of things we didn't do, but it begins with enthusiasm and intensity. So we'll see where it all goes from here.
Yes, there's been a lack of enthusiasm and intensity on the part of the Lakers to this point. O'Neal coming up short. Shaq lays it home on the follow.
It's about the 3rd time we've seen him fumble a ball or lose it as it comes out of his hands. He just can't seem to control it. Perhaps it's, the right index finger, which had the stitches that he removed himself yesterday.
Smith continues to have his problems.
Lakers double team the post. Duncan does a great job throwing it out on time and on target. Smith, best 3-point shooter in the league. Got to make the shot for them to win games like this.
Nice adjustment by Bryant, and draws the foul. Kobe able to clear things out. Was able to lose Bowen as he went baseline, and he heads to the line. The foul on Robinson, number 4.
He kind of felt when he got underneath the backboard, he was just going to try and get it out of there and pass it out to someone else. Instead, he sees the opening and sneaks it around. Reminds you of going behind the hockey net and suddenly wrapping it around that pole past the goalie, as you would know, Marv.
Czar watching a lot of hockey.
That's playoff time.
Yeah.
Get into it.
Barry Melrose, beware.
Yes.
Huh?
Jeff watching too much television these days. 2.5 gone by in the third, and the Spurs now lead by 5. San Antonio hoping to take it back to the Alamo Dome for a Game 6 on Thursday. Lakers want to wrap it, and that will be a turnover as it ends up in the backcourt, and the Lakers get it back. The winner of this series will face Sacramento. This is the first time that Sacramento has reached the conference finals since back in 1981 when they were the Kansas City Kings, and they will have a long layoff before that Western Conference final series gets underway. Earlier tonight, Boston beat Detroit to wrap it up in 5. Celtics headed to the Eastern Conference final. O'Neal going glass.
The critical thing when Robinson picked up his 4th foul is now O'Neal's guarding Duncan, which I think favors the Lakers. And down here, because Duncan's already got 2, they've got Malik Rose at 6'7" playing O'Neal.
And Smith called for the charge. You get the feeling suddenly things are beginning to turn.
Smith tries to make the sudden move. And there you see at the last minute, Robert Horry coming over, stepping in front, picking up the offensive foul.
7 unanswered points for the Lakers. They're down by 3.
This is where the Spurs have to be mentally tough and not give in.
O'Neal over Rose. And Rose lost it. So the Lakers get a new 24.
Now you start to hear the footsteps of what's happened over the last couple of games, where here come the Lakers back, and this crowd is just waiting to suddenly get up on their feet and get into this basketball game.
This the closest since it was a 13-11 San Antonio lead. Fisher from way downtown. And the game is tied at 49. And they are on their feet here at Staples. Duncan going glass, so Tim Duncan comes right back with a beautiful angle shot. Duncan has 26. San Antonio up by 2. Bryant able to beat Duncan. Duncan came back trying to help, so Kobe has tied the game at 51. Parker gives it back. Here's Duncan. So the Lakers have a chance to take the lead. Horry. Yes. Lakers up 53-51, and the Spurs want to talk it over.
Welcome back. The Lakers 53-51 over the Spurs. And sometimes coaches put in special defenses to stop out-of-bounds plays under the basket. Look at this defense. We have 1 defender, 2, 3, 4. And here's Tony Parker, the 5th defender. There's Fisher on the outside. Parker doesn't pay enough attention to the fact that Fisher is a 3-point shooter. They're trying to stop the play under the basket to Shaq. They catch him napping for a second. Fisher lets it go. There's your 3-pointer.
Steve Smith should have been pressuring the ball. Tony Parker has to protect against the lob. The pressure on the inbounder made that pass to Fisher have more hang time and have him, Tony Parker, have more time to close out.
Lakers have the lead for the first time since the early moments when they were up by the score of 4-3. Duncan has to give it up. Shot clock down to 5. Parker on the back tap, kept alive. Bowen able to get to it. They have the new shot clock. Lakers have outscored the Spurs 14-6 in this 3rd quarter. Parker with the step. Bowen. Rebounded by O'Neal.
When the Spurs have Tim Duncan double team, they just struggle to have enough quality shots.
Good ball movement. Fisher hit a 3 a moment ago. Back comes Parker. And the Lakers able to get back. See Bryant digging in on Parker. Duncan lost it. Duncan threw it away. And last touch by the Lakers.
And because Duncan brought the ball down low as he tried to step around Shaq, Shaq really didn't elevate, but he still got a piece of that ball as Duncan tried to shoot it.
And I think San Antonio's got to get back to many more pick and rolls so they get more movement and get other guys opportunities other than just isolating Duncan every time down the court.
Parker now 3 of 8 from the field. Lakers have the lead 53-51, just under 6 remaining in the third. Fisher gives it back to Ori. And now the Spurs set up. Rose going baseline. Nice move. Went with the left hand to beat Ori.
There's that game you talked about, the improvement in Rose's offensive game, the ability to put it on the floor, 1 or 2 dribbles to get it to the basket.
Game is tied at 53. Bryant, beautiful hesitation move, and he drew the foul. Foul on Bowen, that is his second. Spurs with their second team foul. And now Danny Ferry checks back in. Ferry coming on for Robinson.
Marv, I know we have a long way to go here, but think about the last 2 games for Kobe Bryant. 27 field goal attempts, 31 field goal attempts. He has 12 right now.
And his shots have been off. O'Neal, rebound Fisher, but a foul is called. It's against the Lakers. It's on Fisher. He's trying to convert that offensive rebound. Kobe Bryant with 10 points the final 5 minutes, including the game winner against the Spurs with 5 seconds left in San Antonio on Sunday night. Broke out after having his problems. He had missed 7 straight shots over one stretch. And a loose ball foul. It's on Rose.
See the problems when players get elevated too soon. They get up in the air and aren't quite sure what they want to do. We saw Tim Duncan have a turnover before passing out of bounds. That time Rose got in the air, wasn't quite sure what to do once he got up there.
Both teams going through a drought at this point. Fisher forced that and knocked out of bounds by O'Neal. So the ball back to San Antonio. Spurs have hit only 1 of their last 7 from the field. The game tied at 53 with 4:20 remaining in the third. Duncan blocked by O'Neal. Duncan on the follow, and he is fouled. So Tim Duncan will head to the line, spending a lot of time at the line. He's 8 of 9 from the line. The foul on Shaq, that's his third.
You see Shaq's right hand up all the time as Duncan's facing him. That's to try and take away that jump shot. He's encouraging Duncan to put it on the floor because that's the spot Duncan likes to use the glass, the backboard, to shoot that 16-footer.
Duncan hits the first. Well, you can watch the Braves on the Superstation this weekend. They take on the Colorado Rockies. That'll be Friday night at 9 o'clock Eastern, Sunday afternoon at 3, right here on TBS. San Antonio up by 2 with just under 4 remaining in the third. O'Neal with the bucket and a foul. Foul on Duncan, that is his third. Now they say no basket, non-shooting foul, and Fox will put it in play.
The worst spot you can get caught behind Shaq is right in the middle of the lane in front of the rim. They look for him specifically to get him the ball there, the Lakers. They know he's impossible to stop once he catches it there.
Now Rose guarding O'Neal. Shaq is just 6 for 16 from the field. He's had a number of good looks. Duncan with room. And back comes Fisher.
One of the few times Duncan from the top of the circle didn't pump fake first. He just shot it when he caught it.
Bowen over to help on O'Neal. Spurs with 14 fouls. Here's Shaq. And he's fouled by Duncan. That's 4 on Tim Duncan. And let's see how Greg Popovich deals with that.
Got Robinson with 4 fouls already, sitting out of the game, and now as Shaq turns in down low, the contact is initiated the first time by Shaq turning in. Second time, it looks like Duncan just has his hands up.
I'd be very disappointed if I was Greg Popovich, MVP of the league, going to the bench on minimal contact. I just don't think those calls are the right ones. And I like this move by Greg Popovich, keeping Tim Duncan on the floor, bringing Mark Bryant in to guard O'Neal. And where they have to be particularly aware is if Duncan gets matched up on O'Neal in transition, they got a double team much earlier than they just did.
Lake Rose will sit down as Mark Bryant checks in. So San Antonio has a front line of Duncan, Ferry, and Bryant.
Jeff, you're holding a 2-point lead right now, 55-53. You already have Robinson with 4. Now Duncan has 4. Do you try and play out these last 3 minutes, maybe with Duncan on the bench alongside Robinson, see if you can get by and buy some time?
I wouldn't. I would keep him in. Your whole season's riding right here. I think they need to have a cushion so that they have a confidence going into the fourth quarter. If they go down going in the fourth quarter, I just don't like their chances.
Shaquille O'Neal had hit his previous 5 at the line before missing the 2, and a foul is on Fisher. So the Lakers with their 3rd team foul. Lakers have gone scoreless the last 4 minutes, 10 seconds.
I know we all worry about the defensive end when our players have fouls, but as we saw back in game number 2, you have to worry about your big men that you throw the ball so often to, picking up an offensive foul there, committing that 5th foul.
Shot clock down to 5. Duncan had it stripped by Fox. 3-on-2 for the Lakers. Fisher, yes. 7 points for Fisher, and the game is tied at 55. Fox coming over to help out, leaves Ferry open for 3. So Danny Ferry, who has not been hitting his shot, with his first field goal of the game for the series, he's only 3 for 17. San Antonio up by 3, and the Lakers take a timeout. San Antonio with a 3-point lead by virtue of that 3-point shot by Danny Ferry a moment ago. Remember, Ferry during the regular season, a 43% shooter from downtown.
They had Danny Ferry at 43%. They had Steve Smith during the regular season at 47% from behind the 3-point line. And those are the guys that, Jeff, as you mentioned earlier, there's so much pressure on Tim Duncan. Well, he's counting on these players in particular. Okay, that group led the NBA in 3-point field goal shooting percentage to step up and make some shots. And we see up until now, Ferry was just 1 out of 10. Porter still trying to make his first one here.
Ferry's such an intelligent player, but he's got to combine that with shot making. And if the Lakers are going to commit to double team Duncan, and that's why he has to stay on the floor right now so they can score enough, this supporting cast has to make shots.
2:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Devin George and Samaki Walker have come on for the Lakers, so Shaquille O'Neal gets a rest. Robert Horry over Tim Duncan. Bryant trying to hustle it down, but Duncan right there.
With O'Neal out of the game, I wouldn't be surprised to see Duncan come out for the last couple minutes of this half and try to buy some time now.
Walker now defending on Duncan, who steps back, draws the foul. Samaki Walker picks up the personal, his 2nd.
How about if we just leave him on the floor to shoot these 2 free throws? Is that okay?
Now you see, Jeff, this is what we deal with on a regular basis.
I don't think
comments.
I don't think the sarcasm is really warranted here right now.
No, I don't either.
It's too big a game for sarcasm.
Never too big a game in the world of bizarre.
I don't know if it has to be categorized as sarcasm. Just trying to point out that we'll wait a while.
So annoying. Mark Bryant sits down. Malik Rose is back. And you have had a lot of exposure to bizarre these past couple of days. I know the 2 of you took in a little Dodger baseball last night. Dodgers and Mets at
that was
Dodger Stadium.
What a great baseball game. 13 innings. Imagine just being able to sit out there, a beautiful night, watch the game.
And free Dodger dogs.
Yes.
Marv.
Oh, free.
Free, yes.
Walker gets inside. Nice move by Sabaki Walker. San Antonio with a 59-57 lead. In the history of the NBA, only 6 teams have come back from a 3-1 deficit to win a series. Fisher took it away from Bowen. Only 6 teams have come back from 3-1 to take a playoff series. And the last time it happened is Horry fires a 3 and is fouled by Rose. So Robert Horry will go to the line for 3 free throws. The last team to do it, Miami over the Knicks in 1997, as we see Horry fouled. I'm sorry, Jeff. Were you there? Yes, you were.
The pain continues.
That the series that was highlighted by the melee between P.J. Brown and Charlie Ward. You see the 6 teams that have come from 3-1 deficits to win a best-of-7 playoff series. San Antonio looking to send it back to a Game 6 on Thursday night. Lakers hoping to wrap it tonight. Move on to face the Sacramento Kings in the Western Conference Final Series. Oh, nice roll. Favorable rim for the Lakers. Antonio Daniels will check back in. The game is now tied at 59. One more free throw for Horry.
Where are the Spurs going to go with the ball right now? Are they going to run pick and rolls, Coach, with Parker? I think that's their only chance to create offense.
Let Ferry be the guy that sets the screen. Make him have to switch rather than give a little help. If they give help, Ferry hit a big 3-point shot. Maybe you can get him stepping back.
Lakers take a 1-point lead. We're down to 1 minute remaining in the third. Good hands by Fisher. Ferry, played by Horry, put it on the floor and lost it. Horry to the rim. And an offensive foul is called. That's 3 on Horry.
Robert Horry was pointing to the box on the floor, saying that when he ran over the top of the man, that Bryant was not outside the defensive box right there. It was tough to see from that particular angle.
35 seconds to go in the third. Daniels spinning his way. Beautiful shot once again by Antonio Daniels. Spurs by 1. 3-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock as this third quarter winds down. Bryant. Kobe Bryant over Mark Bryant. Lakers lead by 1. Final seconds of the third. Parker with the spin. So here are the Lakers taking a lead to the fourth quarter, where San Antonio has had big trouble. It's the Lakers 62, the Spurs 61. We'll be back with the fourth quarter from Staples in a moment. The view from the boardwalk in Santa Monica as we welcome you back to Staples in Los Angeles. Lakers with a 1-point lead on the Spurs. It has come down to this for San Antonio, where they have not fared well in fourth quarters in this series. Let's take a look at tonight's budget rent-a-car fast break.
Seems to me like we've had more than just a combined 9 points in transition. I don't know about you, Jeff. We had some early action, though we got some scores out of it. We see the Lakers with just 4, San Antonio with 5 points in transition. And when you look at the foul line, both teams right there, 17 free throw attempts apiece.
And we are seeing one great performance by Tim Duncan. 29 points, 21 rebounds, and really not getting the help you need to win a road game in the playoffs.
Remember the Spurs record for rebounds in a playoff game, 22. David Robinson and Dennis Rodman both had 22 rebounds in a playoff series.
Fisher gets inside, but rejected by Duncan as this fourth quarter gets underway. So Duncan is back on the floor. He's playing with 4 personal fouls. And that was rebound number 22 to tie the career playoff high for San Antonio. Shot clock down to 5. Rose draws the foul. And the Lakers not happy. Rose facing the double team. Robert Horry involved. And it's number 4 on Horry.
The official indicating that Horry reached out with his arms, and as the player Rose went up, that his arm reaching out is where the contact took place. But right there, I mean, Horry's point seemed well taken. He put his arms up in the air. Rose trying to jump into him to draw the contact.
Lake 3 for 4 at the line. San Antonio shot only 6 of 18 from the field in the third quarter. Lakers picked it up 9 for 19. Lakers able to come from behind. They were down by as many as 13. They had the lead on a couple of occasions. Now the Spurs up by 1.
Maybe not leading going into the fourth quarter in some strange way takes some pressure off San Antonio to not have to play with the lead and worry about the Lakers' comeback.
Instead of worrying about holding on to it, you're worried about trying to win the game. Go get the lead.
Game 4 Sunday night. Lakers outscored the Spurs 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Horry not able to hit the 3. He's been off. Walker keeps it alive. Here's Fisher. Horry on the rebound. So they get another possession. Bryant played by Bowen. Bryant with the rebound. Not able to hang on, and then kick ball is called. Knocked out of bounds by the Lakers. It'll be San Antonio back in possession.
I don't know too many people that go after the ball harder, and when they want to get it, wind up with it than Kobe Bryant. When he gets his mind made up, he's going after a rebound offensive board. He's up there, he extends, and he pulls it out of the back.
A very quick second jump and a bad sign for the Spurs. They're getting beat to the long rebound.
Parker penetrates. No help down low, and Tony Parker extends to a 65-62 San Antonio lead. Bryant with the ball fake. Oh, what a move. First the fake up high, and then the ball fake down low. The Lakers are within 1. Kobe has 18 points, along with 8 rebounds. Rose is turned back. He was looking for a foul. Bowen for 3. Bowen able to send it back to Parker, who will reset. Parker looking for the pick. Rose. So the Lakers in possession, trailing by 1.
That's a good shot. When you try to get shots like that in the playoffs, but you have to make them in the fourth quarter.
Here's Bryant. Oh, you can feel it coming. Kobe Bryant taking over. Lakers up by 1. 7th lead change of the half. Kobe has 20. Daniels using the screen. Duncan. George reaching in, looking for the steal, called for the foul.
And that was a good call. He did get Tim Duncan's left arm as Duncan came across the lane from the Laker bench side of the floor. They may have been screened out, but it was very obvious from our angle.
It's a non-shooting foul, second team foul committed by the Lakers. And now here comes Shaquille O'Neal, who sat out for several minutes. For more on Shaq, let's go to D. Lynham.
Well, Mark, when he came out of the game in that third quarter, he complained to Gary Vitti that he was having a tough time catching the ball because of that index finger, which he had removed the stitches from. So Gary did some work and really took it down to practically nothing. The glue is off. There's just a little piece of tape on it, and he said, we'll see what happens. Obviously, he just just got the ball there fine. So we'll see if he performs better.
That was rebound number 8 for Shaq. Thanks, Steve, with 3 minutes gone by. In the fourth quarter, Lakers up by 1. Shaq sets the pick. Bryant. And rebounded by Rose.
I would think the concern is when Shaq tries to throw one down, if that finger hits the rim, that's where it may open up again. Particularly with the padding off it now and that glue that they had on there.
Parker, yes, and it counts. What a shot by Tony Parker.
And he's got to keep going at the basket, creating shots for himself and for his teammates. They've got to keep running that pick and roll.
Foul committed by Horry. Parker will head to the line looking for the three-point play. Back in Los Angeles, Harv Albert, Jeff Van Gundy, the Czar, Mike Fratello, D. Lineup, 1 point San Antonio lead. Right here, let's listen into tonight's Lemusil Inside Tracks as referee Steve Javi holds court for both teams.
Contact for an offensive foul. I thought you hit him when he went up for the shot. Buddy.
Okay, all right.
That's what I saw.
Same way on the other end now?
You got it.
Over my head.
I know we talked about that.
On the follow through, if you can't follow through,
Once that ball's out of your hand, Dirk, I'm not going to give you that.
Split second.
I'm not going to give you that, Dirk. I've never given it in 16 years, and I'm not going to start now. All right?
That's just great officiating. Explaining briefly and concisely what he's looking at. He's not saying he's definitely right. He's saying what I saw, and I think that's an excellent official making excellent points to the players.
Is that how your conversations generally went with Steve during the course of games when you were coaching?
I learned actually with him to speak in a rational tone of voice because that prevented the quick technical, which he was known to give on occasion.
So we have the same approach with the Czar. We try to speak in a rational, very conversational voice, but you know it hasn't mattered.
He said that you were rational. That's what you just said, basically.
I tried.
All right, here is Bryant over Bowen. Air ball fielded by George, and the game is tied at 68 as we come up on 8 minutes remaining in the fourth.
It's going to be all the other things in these last 8 minutes. Loose balls, people getting on the floor, picking up charges, minimizing turnovers, making your free throws. That's going to make the difference here.
Parker, yes, and it counts. Phil Jackson looking for a traveling violation. Parker to the line once again, seeking a three-point play. Foul committed by Hunter.
And, you know, Phil Jackson is correct. That was a travel. If we get a chance to go back and show it again, watch after Parker picks up his dribble, he then takes another 2 steps without, you can't put it on the floor again, or it's a double dribble.
Here's a young man, born in Belgium, grew up in France, will actually celebrate his 20th birthday this Friday. And Tony Parker with another solid game. He now has 14 points. So San Antonio up by 3. Lindsey Hunter back, played briefly in the first half. O'Neal with a drop step.
Duncan's got 4 fouls. Rose at 6'6", 6'7's got to play O'Neal. He's just too small. O'Neal can rise up above him and get any shot he wants off.
It's a 1-point game. San Antonio with the lead. Tony Parker scored the last 8 for the Spurs. Not able to hit there.
But I like the fact, as you mentioned, Jeff, he's got to keep penetrating because when he does, he collapses the Laker defense, and eventually they'll have some kickouts for open jump shots.
Bryant being fronted by Daniels. Shot clock to 5. Here's the double on Kobe. Finds the open man, Rick Fox. What a look by Kobe Bryant, who collects his 4th assist.
Kobe knew the double team was coming hard. By the time he came down and had the ball in his hands, he looked right in the middle of the lane for the cutter.
Lakers up by 1. Duncan open. Rebounded by Fox. Tim Duncan did not do it in the 4th quarter the other night in San Antonio.
I think that's one full step outside his range. He needs to catch it a little bit closer.
Devin George. And Devin George shooting at 25% for this series. Foul is called on the Lakers. A blocking foul as Antonio Daniels hit the deck. It's number 4 on Fox.
You know, Mark, you're coming down to the last 6 minutes of the game, and it could be the end of your season. You understand that. But as a coach, you might just want to have that ball running back at the Lakers hard right now to see if you can pick up a couple easy scores in transition and not have to play against the Lakers' set defense. Maybe you grab 2 quick baskets that way.
Got to push the ball up and attack before their defense gets set.
Change on that last foul. It was not Fox, it was George picking up his third. Well, the NBA playoff will continue Wednesday night. That's tomorrow night on TNT with Game 5. The Hornets and the Nets. Nets up 3-1. That'll be followed by Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. And coverage tomorrow night beginning 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
The tendency is to play it close to the vest late. I think the Spurs have to have a go-for-it type of attitude and try to win rather than not to lose.
Here's Hunter. Yes! Lindsey Hunter from downtown. Lakers lead 75-72 for Hunter, his first field goal. And that's a big one for the head of Lindsey Hunter. We talked earlier about the fact that he struggled in the playoffs last season for the Bucks. Here's Rose giving it up to Duncan. Tim Duncan with the bucket, and he is fouled. So Duncan will go to the line.
That's all a result of the Laker defense being very aggressive. Fox missed the steal, wound up opening up the court. Duncan made the nice fake, stepped underneath, drew the foul, and got the basket.
And that number 4 on Fox. As we touched on earlier, going into tonight, 3 players were tied for the Spurs playoff rebounding record. The 3 including Dennis Rodman. Game 2 of the 1995 Western Conference semifinal series against the Lakers. Dennis came up with 22, as did David Robinson. Game 3 of that same playoff series against the Lakers. And Tim Duncan had 22 in Game 2 in the 2001 Western Conference semis against Dallas. And right now, Tim Duncan is all by himself in the San Antonio record book with 23 rebounds along with 31 points.
Jeff, Dee Lanham just went over and checked with the Spurs bench, and she said that David Robinson is okay to play. So now the job of the manager, of the coach, is to decide, am I using manager of baseball last night? I'll give you a little from both sports, okay? Do I use him now down the stretch? He's been sitting quite a while here.
From both sports. Yes. Fox taking it to the rim. And the Lakers with a 77-75 lead.
Well, there it is. Tim Duncan, 4 fouls, has to guard a quicker Rick Fox on the floor. No shot blocking with Malik Rose. He doesn't want to pull his body off Shaquille O'Neal.
Coming up on 5 minutes remaining in this 4th quarter. Beautiful pass. Daniels with the recovery. And Antonio Daniels, who had an 0 for 5 the other night in the 4th quarter, has contributed here in the second half. Daniels now has 9.
And they've switched to Duncan back on O'Neal, which is a gamble with 4.
Game tied at 77. Just under 5 remaining in the 4th. Here's O'Neal getting inside and draws the foul. It's number 5 on Duncan.
Down on the baseline when Shaq went underneath the backboard, gave that little pump fake. It may be hard to see, but does he shuffle his feet there before he winds up making the move? Now, it may be hard to see down low, but when he gets back underneath the backboard as he turns right here on the fake, there's a little shuffle down there of the feet, which is tough to see.
O'Neal is 5 for 7 at the line, has really come on at the free throw strike.
We'll let that shuffle go because of Tony Parker's shuffle down the other end. So shuffle, shuffle, they wipe each other out.
And here comes David Robinson. O'Neal's so difficult to guard when he throws it out of the post because he backs in and they repost at such a depth. He's nearly impossible 1 step from the basket.
Lakers 79, Spurs 77. Robinson over at the scorer's table. Duncan gives it back. Parker played by Hunter. Shot clock to 3. Bowen. First Bowen at the 24-second buzzer ties the game at 79.
How about giving a little bit of credit to Tim Duncan chasing the ball down, getting it to Bowen.
And Fox rejected. He thought he was fouled by Duncan. That would have been number 6. Well, Phil Jackson very upset. Just under 4 remaining in the 4th. San Antonio trying to hang on in this series, looking for a 6th game back in San Antonio on Thursday. That's a charging foul. With the ball back to the Lakers. Daniels picks up his first.
Let's go back and look real quick if we can sneak it in here to see if, in fact, Tim Duncan did pick up that foul. Here's the drive by Fox as he goes in. Duncan's arm coming down on the wrist, the right wrist.
That's a foul.
That's a foul. And that's what the benefits you get when you're a star in this league, whether warranted or not. They don't want him to be out of the game right now.
Game tied at 79. Here's Shaw. Yes. Brian Shaw's hit a number of big shots in this series. Lakers now lead 81-79. 3:25 remaining in the 4th quarter. Parker. Bowen. Duncan. Stripped by O'Neal. It'll be San Antonio ball with 6 on the 24.
Shaq just gets a piece of that ball as Duncan exposes it from behind his head, and we'll get a timeout right here.
3:14 remaining of the 4th. And the Lakers up 81-79. Coming up next, inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and special guest, the general manager of the Denver Nuggets, and an outstanding NBA player, Kiki Vandeweghe. Scores and analysis. I look back at this game and also at the earlier game on TBS as the Celtics defeated the Pistons 90-81 to wrap up that series in 5. Both teams have 2 full timeouts and a 20. Look at the foul trouble. Tim Duncan trying to hang around despite the 5-4 apiece on David Robinson and Malik Rose. Robert Horry with 5. Rick Fox has 4. Lakers are over the foul limit. San Antonio with 1 team foul. Shot clock at 1 and a foul as the Spurs got bailed out. And with the Lakers over the limit, now wait a moment. Still 1 second showing on the clock. And the foul is called on Fox. So that is number 5 on Fox. The official Derek Stafford walking over to the scorer's table to explain the call. Apparently they forgot that the Lakers were over the foul limit, so Antonio Daniels is at the line.
The Spurs were hoping for 3 shots because they thought behind the line, but Derek Stafford ruled that he wasn't in the shooting motion.
So the game is tied at 81. We've had 13 ties, 12 lead changes. 3 minutes remaining in the 4th. Bryant putting the move on Bowen, and hits. Bowen trying to draw the foul. Kobe Bryant with his 3rd field goal in this 4th quarter now has 22.
We were talking, Jeff and I, during the last time out. We didn't include you, Mark,
yes,
but
I noticed.
We mentioned that suddenly after that flurry of offensive rebounds by Kobe, you hadn't heard very much from him. Then he hits the big basket.
And Antonio Daniels has come up big. 13.7 in this 4th quarter.
And that's what they need. Other people contributing so it's not all on Duncan's shoulders.
Game tied at 83. Bryant again. Well, we talked about the Lakers' new Mr. Clutch, Kobe Bryant, who single-handedly outscored San Antonio in the 4th quarter on Sunday night. Lakers lead by 2. Duncan forcing the issue, rejected by O'Neal. He did not have the good look. That's 5 blocked shots for Shaquille O'Neal. Just under 2 remaining in the 4th quarter. O'Neal way off.
You could see the entire Spurs defense start to collapse on Shaq because they knew that Shaq had Duncan pinned in front of the rim.
And Shaquille wanted Kobe to run the pick and roll with Horry again that had scored 2 consecutive times.
Duncan. Back comes Shaw. Fox keeps forward. Rick Fox extends to a 4-point Laker lead, and San Antonio wants a timeout. 17 points for Fox. 1:27 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Welcome back. 1:27 remaining. Lakers up 4, 87-83. And we had asked, where did Kobe Bryant disappear to? Well, we see that he answers the call by coming down the lane against Bowen, then again turning into him, a little more size and strength, powers over the top for 2 quick scores.
For the third straight game, Kobe Bryant coming up with a strong finish. Meanwhile, Tim Duncan with only 1 field goal in the last 18 minutes of play and 1 for his last 9.
They've caused him confusion. They've been doubling him, and now up to wanting not to give up a 3-point shot. He put the ball on the floor. They didn't double. He was indecisive in his shot opportunities, missed a very difficult shot, and I believe if the Spurs go on and lose this series, they're going to have to do whatever they can to find a scoring, consistent scoring perimeter threat to go along with Duncan.
Well, they thought they had it in Steve Smith, but that has not been the case in the postseason. They're surrounding Duncan. Parker for 3. Rebounded by O'Neal, looks to gut it down, and very fortunate on the deflection that Bryant was able to come up with it. Now San Antonio does have 1 foul to give. 1:05 remaining in the fourth. Lakers up by 4. Bryant putting the move on Bowen. Shot clock at 5. Horry for 3. Yes! That looks familiar. We flash back to game 3 against Portland. The game winner by Horry, who was set up by Bryant.
Same guy delivered the pass, same guy put the shot in the basket. Robert Horry from the right-hand corner after Kobe Bryant penetrates, late pass, late score.
A 7-0 run by the Lakers. They lead by 7, just under 1 minute remaining in this fourth quarter. And a moment ago, we saw Kobe Bryant feed Robert Horry in the corner, and he hit a 3 reminiscent of what took place in game 3 in the first round with 2 1/10 seconds to go. Here it is. Bryant to Horry, ball game. And the Lakers advanced to the second round. And Robert Horry won for his previous 7 before knocking down this 3-point shot.
It just shows you the maturity in Bryant's game. He doesn't have a quality shot. Instead of forcing one, he finds his teammate who he's developed a trust with because he's made shots previously. A big-time shot.
Daniels got the step. Oh, what a move by Antonio Daniels. It's 90-85 Lakers, and San Antonio with the foul to give. So the Lakers will put it in play with 46 seconds to go in the fourth quarter.
So now, Jeff, here's your decision. If you foul again, they go to the line for bonus. You've got 46+ seconds remaining here. You can dig in. You have time to get a stop here and then play the game from that point on.
Unless O'Neal catches it, I'm playing my defense.
You're going to foul Shaq if it goes in the post.
Correct.
All right, here's the double and the foul with Bowen and Daniels all over Bryant, who has not shot well at the line. Foul on Bowen, his 3rd. Kobe tonight, though, 4 for 5 from the free throw line.
I think Greg Popovich just talked to Bowen, and he was telling him, I didn't want you to foul in that situation. We were coming to double team. That's Parker left to come over, and Bowen thought maybe that the call he was hearing was to take a foul. I don't think Popovich wanted to foul at that point.
Definitely not by his reaction when he spoke to Bruce Bowen.
Kobe coming into tonight just 12 for 24 at the line, but has been able to straighten things out. 5 for 6 now. And tonight's Gatorade Player of the Game is Kobe Bryant, who once again has turned it on in the fourth quarter. Of his 26 here in the fourth. Lakers up by 7. Daniels for 3. Duncan on the rebound. 92-87, 33 seconds remaining in the fourth. Spurs trying to trap. Lakers able to handle it. Fisher is fouled. Foul given by Parker, so Derek Fisher, one of the better free throw shooters in the NBA, will shoot a pair, making his first appearance at the line.
San Antonio has a 20-second timeout remaining. Remember, with the 20-second timeout now, you still can advance the ball up to the 28-foot mark and get it over the half-court line.
Fisher on the season, 85% from the line. David Robinson, Danny Ferry, Steve Smith on the bench. David Robinson, seen this before. Last year, his San Antonio Spurs swept by the Los Angeles Lakers. Different scenario here. All the games have been close. O'Neal on the block shot. The Lakers, the two-time defending NBA champions, are headed once again to the Western Conference Final Series. Standing ovation for the Lakers, who are able to take over in the fourth quarter for the third straight game and defeat the Spurs. The Lakers 93, the Spurs 87. It will be the Los Angeles Lakers and the Sacramento Kings in the Western Conference Final Series. Kobe Bryant, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Shaquille O'Neal, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 5 block shots. And that man, Tim Duncan, 34 points, 25 rebounds, but did not do it in the second half. Only 2 field goals the last 20 minutes of play.
The double team took him out of his game and out of his rhythm that he had established when they were single covering him in the first half.
So the Lakers advance. They will open up in Sacramento on Saturday. Let's go to Dee Lydham with Shaq and Kobe.
Thanks very much, Marv. Shaq, just given what you physically had to go through in this series, how do you mentally feel about you and your team's accomplishment tonight?
I've never been one to complain. I was always taught by my father, Butcher Harrison, you can walk, you can run, you can play. My guys did a great job of playing well and looking out for me. Kobe, carried us through the series. Rick carried us through the series. And I was just asked to do the little things like block the shots and rebound. And that's what being on a great team is all about. So, right now is no time for celebration. We know what we want to do. We know we have a tough task ahead of us on Saturday or Sunday whenever we play. And we'll be ready.
All right, Kobe, let me ask you just about another great fourth quarter performance for yourself. They're going to keep talking about you just in your ability to find people and make plays. Is it becoming more enjoyable for you to keep doing that?
Well, this team trusts me to make those decisions in the fourth quarter. And that's a huge responsibility, and hopefully I can deliver for them.
How about you? Just the satisfaction. You said every race towards a championship is different. What does this feel like right now to get to this point in the conference final?
It feels good. We're at a place now where we wanted to be all season long. And it's going to be a huge challenge ahead going up to Sacramento, but we're looking forward to it.
And three-peat, do you still believe is the ultimate destiny?
I believe so. Continue to work hard, stay healthy. God willing, that'll happen for us.
All right, Kobe, thanks again.
Thanks.
Marv, we'll see what happens with these guys.